Okay, good evening, everyone. We're in Derech Hashem, Chelik Beis, Perek Ches Os Beis, which is page 330 in the name and edition, if you're using that. And we are discussing, this section again is about Hashgacha, how Hashem deals with the world. So we titled this class something very, something very idealistic. How to perfect the world, the easy way to perfect the world. So truthfully it's not so easy, but what to do is easy, but actually putting into practice is not so easy. So we've been talking about how Hashem interacts with the creation, and we're going to continue discussing that until the Ramchal is going to start by saying, until now we've been discussing certain areas about how Hashem interacts with our physical well-being, but now we're going to discuss how Hashem interacts with our spiritual well-being. If you remember something we learned before, that everything that exists in the world starts from the kochos, the hashpaz of Hashem, and the English word that they use, I believe, was concatenate. These spiritual forces, they concatenate down to the different spiritual worlds until they get to our physical world, and we experience what we experience here. So says the Ramchal, Umima shetzarach shetei that which we have to know furthermore, Kihine, gam hashpa'aso techalik l'shnei minim. Hashem's hashpa can be separated into two distinct categories. Ha'echad hu l'mashal haguf v'hasheni l'mashal nefesh. The first part is what is relevant to the body, and the second part for the soul. L'mashal haguf kvar be'anu inyana. That which relates to the body we've already explained. Dahainu l'mashal hatzlachas ha'adam b'shalvas ba'olam hazeh, relating to humankind's success and his a peaceful existence in this world. We said that had to do with if a person's going to be healthy, if a person's wealthy, other things that are relevant to his physical well-being. That is all based on Hashem's hashpa and on his hashgacha. Those are what we would call physical things relevant to the body. L'mashal hanashama hu b'masha haskala v'yediyah hu b'kirvas ha'adam elav yizbarach shemo v'yikaru malas hanashis. What concerns the soul, when we talk about the second category, how Hashem interacts with us and relevant to spiritual matters, and his having to do with how close a person is to Hashem and his spiritual nobility. So now he's going to explain how Hashem's hashpa relates to that spiritual aspect. Kihine, hamatzav hatov shel ha'olam hazeh be'emes hu sheyeh b'nei adam devekim l'chachma. The situation of goodness in this world, meaning the way the world should be, is that people cleave to wisdom, v'oskim b'avodas boram, and they are busy with service of their Creator. V'ya emes galo yubarer, and the truth should be revealed and clear. Right, the whole world should recognize that there is a God, and there is no power besides Him. Yichud Hashem, something for those that come to the Das Tuno Shir, something we discussed. V'ya haresha nirdaf v'nichna, and evil should be subjugated. V'atarmis mushlach, and deceit should be cast aside. V'losimatzei avoda ba'olam biltei elav yizbarach shemo, and the only service found in the world is that of Hashem. People just devote their lives to serving Hashem. V'chol amidas hatovas timse'ena v'sigbarna, and all of the good character traits can be found, and they are and they will prevail. V'sur chakna hamidas haros. And the bad character traits, they are cast aside, they are distant, and they are despised. Ukenegedzeh. Now, when that exists, when people, if people would have these good character traits and spend their time just in avodas Hashem and being davuk to chachma, cleaving to wisdom, tirba hashalva v'hashket, peace and quietude, as he translated, peace would reign supreme in the world. There wouldn't be hardship, and there wouldn't be other calamities. And Hashem would He would reveal Himself in the world. And He would be happy with His creations, on His creations. And His creations would rejoice and exult before Hashem. That's what the ideal situation is for the world. When we serve Hashem and we cleave to truth and we cast aside all of the bad character traits, all of our bad midos, and we engage in good character traits. We fight against our natural selfish nature and become selfless people, and we're humble, and we care about others, and we're focused on learning the wisdom of Hashem, studying the Torah. When we do that properly, the world will be at peace, because Hashem will be revealing himself based on how we act. Now, the opposite of all this, when people are totally consumed by their physical desires, and they're repulsed by wisdom, or and go far from it, and they only serve Hashem a little bit, or not even at all. It's interesting that he doesn't say that people just don't serve Hashem at all. He says even that they only serve him a little bit. And truth gets thrown to the ground. And evil overpowers and is victorious. Deceit and mistakes are great. There are foreign types of worship in the world. And the good character traits get trampled upon. And people find there are many bad character traits in the world. People are selfish. People only care about themselves. People get road rage, other things like that. People, instead of visiting the sick, they go to the beach. They don't do what they're supposed to do. They just are concerned about their own well-being, their own personal advancement, and fulfilling their own physical pleasures. And if someone else gets in their way, they better watch out. Now, what happens? Ve'ein shalva. There's no. And when people act like this, the quiet lacks. Ve'ein shalva. There's no peace. V'hayisurim v'hanizakim rabim. Calamities come into the world. They're great. V'ha'odem baruch hu mastir kvodim me'olamo. And Hashem hides himself from the world. V'ha'olam holech ke'ilu nezav l'mikra u'mushlach l'teva. And the world goes and appears that events are just happenstance, that there's no meaning. Bad things happen, and it looks like there's no meaning behind them. It looks like it's just teva. It's just the natural occurrences. It looks like there's nobody controlling events. Just bad things keep happening. And it looks like there's no God controlling anything. Chas v'shalom. Hashem is not happy with his creations. And his creations don't rejoice in front of him. And they don't even know what it means to be happy, for creation to be happy in front of their Creator. In a time like this, evil becomes great and good is subjugated. This is very bad. Very, very bad. It's a very bad thing when the Jewish people especially attribute something to Mikra. When we say an event is just a happenstance. So why did this calamity happen? Oh, things happen in the world. Why did that earthquake happen? Why did that pandemic happen? We say, stuff happens. That's one of the worst things that a Jewish person can say, because when we act like that to Hashem, Hashem acts like that to us. We obviously know everything is for a reason. We don't necessarily know why specifically things happen, but we know that we have the emunah, we have the faith, we know 100% that it's true, things happen for a reason. I just heard Tzvi Berkowitz say that what we should do is that each one of us personally knows which areas we can improve, so when Hashem sends us a message, even though we don't know specifically why it's happening, we know for ourselves what area, or everyone should know about themselves, what area they need to improve on, so that should be a wake-up call to improve in those areas. But here the Ramchal is saying that when people are evil and selfish and they're not doing what they're supposed to do, Hashem deals with the world in this way of mikra, that it looks like things are happening, the world's chugging along without any rhyme or reason, bad things are happening, and it appears, chas v'shalom, that there's no meaning behind it. V'nimsa, shehina yushba meni yizbarach shemo l'masha b'chol anyanim ha'shaychim laguf b'chalkei ha'matzav shezacharnu l'masha b'chol anyanim shebo ha'shaychim la'nefesh. So we're summarizing that there are two types of hashpah here. There's Hashem's hashpah when it comes to the physical things. So that's when it comes to a person's livelihood, his health, things like that. And then there is the hashpah when it comes to spiritual things, that when we are good spiritually, we have peace in the world and Hashem reveals himself. Okay, let's go further. V'hine, kfar nizbar b'chelik aleph perak dal. We already explained in the first section, chapter 4. She'ulam atzav shal ha'olam shal ha'adam ba'olam hazeh hu matzav she'achamias v'achoshech shar shivo. So we mentioned that a human being is comprised of two opposites, really. There is a body, which desires physical things, and there's a soul, which desires spiritual things, an neshama. And these things are in a battle, so to say. The body wants to be lazy and fulfill its taivas, fulfill its physical pleasures, wants to eat and do other things. And the soul wants to get close to Hashem, wants to daven, wants to study Torah, wants to do mitzvos. And there's a battle. But the Ramchal says, you mentioned before, that we're in a world where physicality really reigns supreme. We are totally subsumed by the physical. He's going to talk about later that on special days or special times like Shabbos and Yantiv, there's an infusion of spirituality that makes it easier for us to get closer to Hashem and to get more in touch with our spiritual side and to grow in that area. But you shouldn't think that it's hopeless during the week, but during the week, especially, the physicality is what reigns supreme. V'ha'ara nirkeves umishtatefes bo. And Hashem's hashpa, his illuminations, they are mixed in with this. Shemimeno hadas v'aseichel. And from that comes a person's wisdom. V'hine. Bereshis toladato shel ha'adam sichluso rav v'dai temua. Now he says when a person is first born, so when he's a baby, his foolishness is great and his wisdom is a little, right? Think about a child, little baby, doesn't know much. Ukfi hisgadol hanar kachir bedaito. And as the child grows, his wisdom grows also. He gets smarter. Va'amnam hasiba lechol hametzius ha'ele. The reason for all of these realities, he hashpa'asa yizbarach was because of Hashem's hashpa, Hashem's illumination. Kikfi ma sheyushpa ala adam ken yimatzi bo metzius ve'inyan. Because the way that Hashem illuminates on a person, so too is the reality. B'chlal u'prat, in general and in detail. V'shorish hakol hu inyan ha'aretz panav yizbarach shemo v'hesteram. And everything is sourced in Hashem's illumination and his hiding himself. We explained earlier, they are the root of good and evil. So it sounds like a person that as he grows and as he develops his intellect, that is a result of the greater hashpa that Hashem is giving him as he matures to different ages. Hashem is, so to say, illuminating more on that person in that respect. I don't know if it means in every respect, but in this respect, that his wisdom grows. That because when a baby is born, it seems that a baby is really a totally physical being, almost. And it grows, and it sounds like the soul grows within a person as he gets older, and that is due to Hashem's hashpa. And we said that the source of all good in the world is Hashem illuminating himself, and the source of all evil is Hashem hiding himself. This is something we discussed. That doesn't mean that a baby is evil. That doesn't mean what it means. It just means that the development of that stage for his seichel has not happened yet, where Hashem is shining his illumination. Okay. V'hine hashpanim shachas al pi ha'aretz hapanim oesterim. These hashpas, they come from either Hashem revealing himself or hiding himself. Whatever he decrees. Umehashpas ha'aretz yivalid hariboy hazakas vayakar umehashpas ha'hester yivalid achisaron ha'avius v'hashiflus. Now, from Hashem's direct illuminations, when he is, so to say, shining, that's when we get things that are, refinement, nobility, the good things. And when the hashpaz of his hester, of when he's hiding himself, that's when we get chisaron, things that are lacking, thickness, shiflus, bad things, not good things. Ubiyoshim itzius hanimsaim v'ha hanhaga harui lahem morkavim manyanim ha'ela harchava rabba. Now that existence has both of these, right? Things in existence aren't all good and all evil. People are not all good and all evil. All of us really have a mixture of all of these things. You could have a person, he has inyane chisaron, things of lacking in one area, and things of riboy in another area. Inyane avis v'inyane zakos, thickness and clarity. Inyane shiflos v'inyane yakar, levels of degradation and levels of exaltedness. Al kain hashpa shetushpa lahem lefi ma shira yimatzibam tzarich sheyeh binyanim hakavos min ha'ara min ha'hester. So that means the hashpa, the illumination that comes to a person, is a mixture of Hashem's light and Hashem's hiddenness. Kfi ma shiroi shivalid v'mushpaim, according to what Hashem wants to come out in the physical world. Because remember, again, like we mentioned many times, the source of everything is Hashem and His kochos, and that comes down to us. But it starts, all of this is sourced in Hashem either illuminating Himself, or so to say, ki'ilu, hiding Himself, and that's coming down to us. Ukfi mashe yishtarjba, what it has, ukfi aseder sheyustav v'hadroi sheyishushu anyanim behashpa kein teitze al talad b'chal b'chinesem, like we just said, v'zeh klal gadol l'chol ha'metzius v'hamikrim b'chol makom shehem, and this is a klal gadol, and what we said. So, okay, so just to summarize, the first section we learned, we said there are two aspects of Hashem's hashpa. One is relating to the physical, one is to the spiritual. And when we do what we're supposed to do, we're davak techacham, we cleave to wisdom. We are involved in good character traits, not bad character traits. We're not selfish people. That's when there's going to be peace in the world, and there will be. Also from a logical perspective, besides Hashem's hashpa, if everyone would be selfless, the world would be a better place. But besides that, we're saying, when people are selfless, Hashem will reveal Himself to the world, and Mamela, right away, there will be peace and everything will work out, in addition to the logical aspect of it. And the opposite happens, so that's the spiritual illumination. And then we learnt that everything in the world is based on Hashem's hashpa, and that as a person gets older, he gets more of Hashem's hashpa, and that really people and things in the world are a mixture of these things. You don't have people that are all good or all evil. And the goal is, the more mitzvahs we do, the more Torah we learn, we can bring out it will have a direct spiritual impact. This is something, again, just to have the idea, what practically should we take out of this? Just to have the idea that what we do, or the mitzvahs that we do, or chas v'shalom the averas that we do, it doesn't just have an impact, on our lives, the immediate way that we are, but it has a spiritual impact that really affects the whole world. The more mitzvahs that we do, the more we bring about Hashem's illumination, and the more peace there is in the world, and the more revelation of God there is, and the more averas, the more sins we do, the opposite happens. So if we just keep that in mind in our day-to-day lives, it should add an extra impetus for us to improve and to do the right thing. With that, if anyone has any questions or anything, or comments. Okay, Shtika Keoda again. Thanks everyone for coming. Have a great night.